Shalom, Boker Tov, and early Shabbat Shalom after Yom Kippur, Raleigh, North Carolina, Beth Meyer Synagogue, Morning Torah. So listen, we are entering in some of the last parshas of the whole year in the Torah. And so I want to skip ahead really to the last section of the whole Torah, even though it's not this week's parsha, it's Parshas Hazinu, dealing with a beautiful poem. But we're getting close to Vizot HaBracha, which is really the end of Moshe's life. And including this parsha too, Moses basically is giving his last blessing and words of wisdom to the people as his life comes to a close. And one of my favorite teachings about Moshe, and it's so powerful, especially at this time of year, is that nobody knows where he's buried. The Torah tells us that he stands on the other side of the Jordan River, Har Nevo Mountain, looks out, made famous by Martin Luther King, won't get there, but he sees the promised land. And it says we don't know where he's buried. Now, practically, probably one of the reasons why we don't know where he's buried, and there's a tension within Jewish tradition on this, and even to some degree in the Torah, is that Moshe shouldn't be seen as a god or valorized, like we focus on Yod Heh Vav Heh, on Adonai, and not Moshe as the most important character in the Torah. Because Moshe is pretty amazing, really, with all his challenges. So we don't know where he's buried is one aspect practically, so people wouldn't constantly go to him, even in his burial place. But the other idea, of course, is because it's very unique, because we have such strong Jewish tradition on burial, and many biblical characters and Torah characters, we know exactly where they're buried. It says where they're buried, Machpelah, Abraham buries Sarah, and many are still buried. And Rachel is buried on the way out of the promised land. So we know a lot about this. How, of all people, not to know where Moses is buried? Moshe. So one of the answers to that I love is because of the greatness of a person is not just about where they're buried in the ground, which is important, but that they're buried inside of us, inside of our hearts. And that's the truth of Moshe. What the greatness of Moshe is not just his life and his leadership and what he did. It's the fact that we're still talking about him, and he still influences us, influences the world, really the Western world. He's still a person we admire for his struggles and kind of selflessness, ultimately, to do something great and so valiant and desiring to lead, even though as difficult as it can be. So in this end of the Torah, even though it is the end of Moshe's life, on some level, it's not the end of his life. His life was just beginning. His influence was just beginning. May this be a blessing for all of us to consider a life well lived. Shabbat Shalom.